What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist and Adam Scherer coming to you with the NBA injury report for Friday, March 18th. We've got some massive pieces of news waiting in the wings on this 12-game slate. But first, check out FanUp. Use promo code Awesemo. Get $25 free plus 2,000 bonus points, which is basically a $20 value that you get free to play in contests over there. Really fun game structure. You don't have to worry about a lot of the value pieces. You could just flat out play studs. It's a really fun way to go. So check out FanUp, sponsor here of this segment. But let's get to it. We got Joel Embiid and LeBron James. I feel like LeBron, we don't really need to talk about because he's not going to Canada to not play basketball today. Joel Embiid did go through shoot around, but just in case anybody needs the broad strokes, what do you do with DeAndre Jordan and some of these other pieces if there is no Embiid?
Yeah, I mean, if there's no Embiid, then we'll learn a little bit from the starting lineup. My assumption is that DeAndre Jordan would get the spot start. Paul Millsap would play some minutes behind them. Maybe you get some Tobias Harris at the 5. But, if Millsap starts in place of Jordan, I think you just kind of give a slight edge to Millsap. If they start a small lineup with Harris at the 5, then obviously that's bad for both Jordan and Millsap. But the other big thing would be that James Harden, who already looks good at $9,600, becomes probably the best player on the slate.
Yeah, pretty much that. Sub 10K. Way to go, DraftKings. Love it. FanDuel, small forward eligibility. All the things check out there. Let's move it along to Atlanta, where I think there's two pieces that can kind of play a massive role in the news. Obviously, Trae Young being the big one. He's kind of getting dinged up all over the place. Now it's a left quad contusion that we have going for him here. And then Gallinari, who sat out, opened up a little bit of value for Atlanta guys on a large slate. But would you be going to anybody else? Talk through both scenarios, Trae Young and Gallo being out.
Yeah, I mean, Young is important because if he's out, you would expect he opens up minutes for a $3,300 DeLon Wright. Not the best point per minute guy, but would play enough at 3,300 that he'd look like a really, really good value. And then you also get rate bumps, in particular for Bogdan Bogdanovic and Kevin Huerter, usage bumps and assist percentage increases for those two. So they would look better. And there's just more usage to go around in general. But I think those are the two that really get the bump. For Gallinari, kind of would be curious what the starting lineup looks like, because the game that he missed previously, you had DeLon Wright slide into the starting lineup. But in the last game where Gallinari was injured in the first half and didn't return, Luau Cabarrot started the second half. So it's a situation where if DeLon Wright starts at 3,300, he's a decent value. If Luau Cabarrot starts, he's of value. Decent might be a little
He's
strong.
He's a human being with a pulse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one distinction, I guess, to make is that if Luau Cabarrot starts, that means they're adding a player to the rotation. Whereas if DeLon Wright starts, you can be a little bit more aggressive with the minutes because he's already in the rotation and it's just signaling that he's going to play more.
Yeah, it's a messy one, but I think there's going to be something you can extract if either one gets ruled out, specifically Trae Young. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, and also if Gallo's out, it increases the likelihood that you get 48 minutes from Capella and Okongwu.
Yeah, that as well. That's kind of a big thing. Kongwu's been a guy that you can kind of go to value. We have a lot of center plays, and we could get one absolute smash one at 8,700 on DraftKings if De'Aaron Fox gets ruled out. He's questionable here for the Kings. We haven't really seen this one in all its glory in a while. Davion Mitchell would be a guy that obviously gets clicked on, but I think it opens up a lot for Sacramento. And Domantas Sabonis, 8,100 on FanDuel already looks great. He's basically the James Harden play over there on FanDuel if you get no Fox. I think just the absolute smash of the slate. Talk me through De'Aaron Fox questionable.
Yeah, in terms of minutes, you would expect DiVincenzo to play more. You would expect Davion Mitchell to play more. Both of those guys would seem pretty underpriced, especially Mitchell at only $3,800. But to your point, Sabonis has been very productive since coming to the Kings on a per minute basis. He's dealt with some foul issues that isn't going to change whether De'Aaron Fox is in or out. But you would expect the rates to go up even more. I mean, De'Aaron Fox has a usage rate approaching 30% since Sabonis came over. He's obviously involved as a playmaker, and Sabonis can just fill in and pick up both of those roles as a scorer and as a playmaker. So you would expect his rates to just increase pretty drastically without Fox out there.
Anybody else really to kind of fire up outside of Mitchell and Sabonis? There's got to be somebody else that we can go to.
Yeah, I mean, I think Barnes. Right, like DiVincenzo would play more. Maybe Barnes gets a little bit more usage, but he's not exactly cheap. The matchup's not great. Maybe Justin Holiday plays a little bit more. He's 3,400. You could roll the dice there, especially if everybody's going to Davion Mitchell. Maybe Holiday gets a little bit overlooked. But given the matchup and given the fact that a lot of these guys aren't great point per minute guys, I think the biggest beneficiaries are probably Mitchell at 3,800 and Sabonis.
And you've only got two games that are kind of on an island there at night. 10 p.m. or later Eastern time, that being Boston at Sacramento there, Chicago at Phoenix. You're missing out on 10 games if you're building in things, and we don't have that news yet. So that'll be a fun late swap opportunity. SGA, that's the next guy on the board here. Then we'll talk Miami and get ourselves out of here. But SGA, I thought he was going to sit the other night. I had kind of preloaded lineups, and then all of a sudden I just ended up on a ton of SGA. I don't know really what else to do other than fire up a lot of these guys, even in a brutal spot. What are you looking at doing with OKC in the event that you have no SGA on the floor?
Yeah, it becomes a kind of difficult spot or interesting spot because Miami, even with SGA, Miami is so much better than OKC. But if SGA is out, you're still talking about a lot of cheap players that would kind of have to soak up minutes. Teo Maledon at 3,600 would likely play a ton. Trey Mann's point per minute production increases pretty drastically when you take SGA and Josh Giddey off the floor. So he would look better at 5,200, potentially enough minutes for Lindy Waters at 3,100 to look like a decent value. So I think those three in particular are the ones that I would be getting to first if SGA sits.
And on the other side of that game, to round it out, the team with the 117 implied total, as opposed to OKC 101 that you're looking at, 16-point favorites. Jimmy Butler questionable, PJ Tucker questionable here. Talk me through the scenarios for this one in that same game that could go from looking really ugly to really good quickly.
Yeah, because you're obviously talking about a lot of minutes there, and Caleb Martin questionable as well. If Butler and Tucker are out and Martin is in at 4,100, Caleb Martin's going to look pretty good. If all three guys are out, you're probably seeing more stable minutes for Duncan Robinson at 3,300. You would expect Max Strus to play a bit more. You have a 3K Markieff Morris who could get to 20-ish minutes, give or take. So if all those guys are out, it does open up a lot of value. If Butler is out, you're also talking about increased production for Bam Adebayo, increased roles and fantasy production for Lowry and for Tyler Hero. If Tucker is out, you're just talking minutes. You're not adding usage or anything to anybody.
Yep. And that's the NBA injury report, everybody. Adam did a great job summarizing everything here in less than 7.5 minutes. Check him out on the deeper dive, I believe, as well today, correct?
Yep.
Yep, perfect. Deeper dive for him. I'll be on live before lock with Greg per usual. Going to be a fun 12-game slate here. Enjoy some NCAA. Enjoy the NBA slate here tonight. And don't forget to check out our sponsor fan up here. 2,000 free points plus $25 free just by using promo code Awesemo. He's Adam. I'm Eric. Best of luck tonight.